Assalamu alaikum students. Under the supervision of Bahria Foundation College, Wellington Campus, Islamabad, this is chemistry class, and today we are going to learn about the importance of equilibrium constant. We have already studied about equilibrium constant, that is Kc. We have studied some things about equilibrium constant, that how we can express the equilibrium constant and how we can express the units of the equilibrium constant. Today we are going to tell that we have discussed in our first introductory class that how equilibrium reactions help in the industry and other important life organizations, that how they are producing the yield, a better yield, and how they are going to produce better things. Now, for this we have four importances from which we can enhance our industry and from which we can enhance our yields. You have for before discussing those important points, you should know that Kc value basically depends upon the concentration of the products and the concentration of the reactants at equilibrium. This must be kept in your mind, that it is not like that it depends upon at any point what is the concentration of product and what is the concentration of the reactant. It depends upon these two things at equilibrium. It means by changing any of these two, we can shift the position of the equilibrium. Now, shifting the position of the equilibrium means the rather, if you are changing any of these, the rather the point, the equilibrium would shift towards the reactants, or it may shift towards the products. Or in other words, shifting of an equilibrium means that now equilibrium would attain if if more reactants would be produced, and if I'm saying that the equilibrium is shifted onto the product side, it means the equilibrium would attain by producing more products. Is it clear? Now we will see what are the important points of equilibrium constant. What is the importance of equilibrium constant? Number one, equilibrium constant basically determines, it helps you, Kc basically helps you to determine the amount of products, the concentration of products, or the concentration of the reactants at any point. Okay, especially at equilibrium. Now, you have seen obviously the expression of Kc. It tells you the concentration of the products and concentration of the reactants. If you already know that how much concentration you have put for a certain chemical reaction, for example, if you are producing ammonia, how much concentration of nitrogen and hydrogen you have put into the chemical reaction. By putting the concentration here and by putting the Kc value, each reaction have a different Kc value. So these reactions have the different Kc value and the Kc is always determined, and because it is constant, it would not change. So for ammonia reaction, the Kc would always be same. The reactant amount you already know. You can get at any point that how much product we have calculated during this reaction. And the second thing is that I have already told you that how we can calculate the concentration of the reactants in the products at any point during a reversible chemical reaction by using different chemical techniques, and these techniques which you have to study in the further classes, for example in first year. Second thing, this Kc predicts the direction of a chemical reaction. Now this I have told you that what does the direction means. If for example this value would be reduced, it means Kc is also reduced. If Kc would reduce, the direction would be the reverse direction would be the forward direction, means more products would be produced. And if for example this value is reduced, this value would increase. If Kc would increase, the direction would be the reversible direction and the more reactants would be produced. Third cheese which it can find out is Third thing which it can find is the extent of a chemical reaction. Now, what do you mean by the extent of a chemical reaction? Extent means how much valuable this chemical reaction is, that like how much yield it can give you. For example, from specific technique, if for example you already know that we have in daily life as well, we have different methods to produce a certain thing. So Casey basically tells which method is basically the most suitable, and the which of the methods would give you the maximum amount of the product. So this is what we call the extent of the chemical reaction. And the fourth thing is that it can predict the effect of the conditions applied. Now, what are the conditions applied during a chemical reaction? After catalyst, which is actually the necessarily used thing in a chemical reaction, we have temperature and pressure on which the Kc depends very severely. So there are some other things which we will inshallah study in the Lee Chatelier principle, if we have to do for that, what is the effect of a temperature increased or a reduced temperature, and what is the effect of an increased or a reduced pressure on a certain chemical reaction. So after Kc would tell you that if for example temperature is increased, what will happen, and if for example pressure would increase, what will happen. Okay, so these are the four important points which are very important regarding the uh, Kc expression or Kc. So as we already know that the videos used to get very prolonged, I will divide the same topic into two videos so that it would be uploaded easily on the WhatsApp. Okay beta, thank you so much. The part 2 I will upload soon, inshallah.